soon. And here we go. So again, I'm going to present this. And this is the training how to add materials, basic, they call it walk. And it will go through how do you add materials in Schoology. This is, put meat to the bone in your Schoology courses, resources, and groups. Okay, Michael Molitor is in the back channel. He'll answer question, put the code, and put sign in at the end. So let's go through the slideshow. I explain a few things, and I show you a few things like live right after this. So this is a capture I took earlier. If you feel like you need to have a split screen to follow what's on the right side in the back channel, left side could be my presentation. So this is a split screen. If you have Windows 10, you drag the tab to the side, it will cling on to the right side or to the left side. So this is one way to see the presentation and the back channel with the questions and maybe informations. What we're going to do, we're going to go briefly the differences between groups, courses, resources. We'll briefly touch on the attendance in Schoology. Briefly just show you there's a parent connect. And then we're going to use the materials for folders, assignment, test quiz, assessment, file, link, external material, discussion, adding a page, and media album. I want to point out the assessment piece Kelly Smith is doing after this. She'll go in detail over the question choices you have, and she's going to showcase that in detail. The assessment is a cool feature for formative assessment, and so is test quiz, but assessment goes a little deeper. So I'm just going to point out Schoology is our learning management system. There's no other platform that can handle that. In order, we pay for Schoology, and this is our main hub. It is the main hub for virtual learning, and it will be the main hub if we gradually go back to our classrooms, hopefully. So whatever you do in your distant learning settings, adding material, you can take it right back to your classroom. The materials is putting meat to the bone. You can create materials or add materials in all three areas, in courses, groups, and resources. The best way is to create these in resources. So you have these resources at your fingertips, even after the next school year or next semester. The only downside on the courses side is they will expire. They will archive after the semester. Groups is a good way to collaborate. You add co-teachers, fellow teachers, and create courses together, and then copy it over in groups and copy it over to courses. And if you create any courses and before the course expires or archive, you can make sure you copy it to resources so you're not losing it, or you don't have to, retrieve it from the archives. I stole it from Brad. It is always good to make sure the differences, he put that in a way, thinking of resources is your filing cabinet, groups is your collaboration page, and courses are your classes. You will not see your courses / classes right now. The sync is off until a couple more weeks. Once the sync is on and you have your courses and you have your sections in eSchool, they will synchronize overnight, and then you see all your courses. That doesn't avoid you from having courses. You can create courses right now, call it test or sandbox, so you see how those courses would look like. Then there are a few minor differences. If you are adding in resources, in groups, or in courses, the only difference is in resources and in groups, they separated the file, the link, and the external tool. separate in these tabs, the same over here. And if you do it in courses, they have combined the add file, add link, and add the external tool in here. That's the only minor difference. And it only says add materials in courses, and in the other groups and resources, it will say add resources. That's the only difference. Then I just pointing out attendance may become more important. If you feel like you keep attendance in Schoology as well as the regular attendance, we have to keep the attendance piece is in here, and you can, put it in attended, absent, late, if you want to. Also, parent access will be covered in a different session, but yes, parent have access to a view only to all the courses of their students. All they need is one code to see all the students. Elementary schools will handle this a little different than high schools, so wait for further information. But if you have a parent, they want to go to, I would tell them more info coming soon. So let's go into the materials. We'll cover these briefly. The most important, I would say, is the folder structure that you create. And then in those folders, different assignments, assessment, test quiz, discussion page, and media album. So let's start with adding a folder. You can add different folders, and you can have your own folder structure. And, it all depends to how you want to organize this. By 9 weeks, by weeks, by 3 weeks, by classes, by semester. That's totally up to you. So you can color code these folders. You can create these folders ahead of time, and then put whatever you feel like it needs to be in these folders. Folders can also be different classes. If you teach more than one class, put different folders for each class, and then by weeks or something. You can, the default is the folders will be published. But if you want to hang on and not confuse your students, you can, select unpublished, or, you can select the start date that the students will only see those folders once you put the start date, or once the start date comes around. And you can also put a date range where these folders will be published, meaning, like an assignment or assessment will be open for a period of time. Then moving on, we're going to go to an assignment. So the assignment piece is whatever assignment you give those students. You have to give it a name. The asterisks will require fields. I would be very descriptive in here. What are the expectations? What are the due dates? You have a massive, rich text editor. You can add formulas. You can add content, videos. You can add tables. You can add images, and so on. You also will go over these in another session. If you want to use audio, video, links, folders, external tools, that can all be in the assignment. Assignment can come from Google Drive, and but will not overwhelming you. We're just going to make sure you know the basics. This is how you add an assignment. You have to create or select a category: homework, major grade, major work, project, something like that. So either you select or create it. And whenever you see this little button down here, you can align this assignment to state standards. Those buttons down here, they are explained over here. You can, the 3 dots individually assign to different or selected students. Only this assignment will go to. This should also be on submission enabled. So assignment, students need to submit something. Make sure this is on. It's on by default. The green dot is on by default as well. Published to students. This can be turned on. Grade statistics, and then you can enable the comments if you want to. And if you do that in groups or resources, you can copy it to courses right here. So this is when you add an assignment. The assignment can be whatever you have. I'm not going to go into any more details. Let's move on to test quiz. The first formative assessment in Schoology It's a test quiz. It has different question types, options, and all you need to do is you give it a name, and then you put a due date in here. 100 points is good. 5 questions times 20, or 10 questions times 10. Select the category again. Asterisk over here. Required name, category, factor is 1. That's fine. Oops. And leave it a letter grade, and we did explain those symbols down here. The next tool in here is assessments, and again, I highly recommend to see Kelly in after this. She's going to go through all the different, and there's a little different between test quiz and assessment. We've been told that we'll combine, but now it looks like they both may have the same question types. The only difference I can think of is that test quiz, you can use test banks, and assessments you can't, but assessment have a few more answer and question choices. Again, name it, put a due date, submissions enable. You could set a password, you don't have to, but you have to select the category. And if you select the category, that will also guarantee that it will automatically grade your assessment questions. I would say 80% of the question types are self-grading. I think the open-ended and essay questions, they need to be graded by the teacher. Factor and scale should be the same. And then you create the assessment. Once you create the assessment, again, see Kelly in a little bit, you add questions. And then even if saved, you can modify and add and delete questions in there. Adding file, link, or external tools is the next. Again, in courses, they're combined in one tab. File, what have you. So if you want to upload different files, you have documents, images, you can upload it right in here. You can align it whenever you see that button, you can align it to state standards. And I'm going to say a little more on the add link right here. So if you want to add a link to an external tool, to a website, Wikipedia, CK12, YouTube video, right here you can insert, and it's asking for a URL or an embed code. There's a little difference, and I'm going to just briefly show it to you. And of course, the little ruler square will point to an external tool. Most of these work seamlessly if you integrate it, and if you have access to, I know Learns 360 is in there, and Nearpod is in there as well. So these are the file, link, and external tools. I'm going to touch a little base on the URL and embed code. So let's say you want to embed a YouTube video. You can either copy, you can either copy the link and add it to the link we just saw, or you use the embed code. If you use the embed code, it gives you a few more a bag of tricks. You can set the start date. Sometimes video have a very long intro you want to spare, and you can start and set a start time, and you can take away player controls. Sometimes that makes sense. So there's a little tiny difference. You can also set the start date on over here, but you cannot take away the player controls. In the link, you have to use the embed code. Moving on. So here is just a side note. If you are tired or offended by the sometimes commercials on the right side, especially our youngsters, they get distracted so easily. If you use the link I just showed you and go to nicertube.com and put it in there, it will just move out all the commercials YouTube suggests on the right side. Just a side note on this one. Okay, so let's go add discussion. The thing, you go to add materials, add discussion. And again, I point out that the rich text editor, it is massive. You can, the text editing, you can link images, words, text, you can insert images, tables. And if you don't see the entire editor, make sure there is a little button on the right side to either, collapse or expand. You can put a due date. You can enable grading. You can enable the discussion to state standards. The thing about discussion is this is always good to, touch base with your students. They can respond easily by, writing, or even use a audio or video file. And they also can see, if you enable that, can see what other students say, what other students think. So this discussion can be a good collaboration tool. Once post something and then comment, oh, I didn't think about that, or, posting a link, hey, check this out, I found that so-and-so, that could be helpful. So discussion is a good piece, even, if you want to start a lesson to brainstorm something. Moving on to, you can add discussions, and there's a little description here. How do you do that in multiple sections? There's a button down at the bottom that will explain how you add this discussions in a shared area. We'll share these presentations, the recording at the end. There's another, just I put this in for completion, another video how to add a discussion item, and with the different features, this will be available to you as well. Adding a page. This can be anything like an overview, exceptions, descriptions, images, articles, what have you, to, let's say, give a deeper understanding. A page could be a simple read. A page could be posting artwork. A page could be different. A page could serve a lot of purposes in your course, or in an assignment, or clarification. And again, you could add links and add a audio video. Audio video will be discussed in detail, I think, on Wednesday. The last thing in here, and I'm not going to spare the package. This is when you have like zip file or SCORM packages somewhere. I'll leave that out because we are just walking. The last thing I want to touch base is add a media album. This most likely could be images, but the images could be screenshots of paragraphs. It could be explanations. It could be definitions. It could be vocabulary, what have you. It could be a visual writing prompt. You need to tweak that to whatever is on your agenda. So you would go to edit, you would add media album, and then, oops, very sensitive here. And then you would, name it, be descriptive in the descriptions, and then make sure you enable this little button. It says instructors and students can add media. So you would upload files, more than one. It would create like a thumbnail gallery, and the student view would be something like this. So you would see the image, and students could write a comment right below. So this could be good, become handy for a short, visual writing prompt. What CU clarification. This is, they would go through the different images. They would go previous next to go back to the next image, and they can comment on it. Okay, so this is one more thing. I pointed out earlier the folder structure, which is very different depending on your organization. Whatever it is fits your needs can be in those folder structures, subjects, groups, weeks, timelines, that's all. So when you copy material from resources to courses, and you have folders in the courses, you make sure you select the material, the course, and then click on folder. It will show all the folders. I only have one. It's called folder. And then you select the folder you want that materials to go to. Okay. just another side note, and I'm wrapping it up. And I'm going to go to Schoology Live and show you one or two in action. I'm going to go to my Schoology account, and I have a empty course right here, and I'm going to show, again, just going to show you that how that looks live. So you go to Add Material, and you have all the different materials right here. And I'm just going to go click on a discussion, and then you would name it. This could also go that we did that at, in March or in April to check in with your students. This could just be, hey, how are you doing? Have any problems? Do you need any help? And, you know, just checking base. And you be descriptive in here. And if you select the mic, and we're going to go into more details, you can leave a very personal note using audio or using audio video in here. These are the two options. And again, this could be really cool if you are like a little more entertaining than me. Be funny and, you know, tell your students, hey, Johnny, take out that bubble gum. We're in session now. We're, you know, need your attention, something like that. I'm just pointing it out. And then the same thing with the link, file, and tool. Again, this would be, external tool would be BrainPop, Nearpod, Flipgrid, CK12, Seesaw, what have you, as an external tool. Any link you have to an article, to images, to YouTube videos, you put in here. And any other file you need to upload, you put it up here. Like PDFs, images, things like that. Okay, so this is basically, and again, the Add Materials is called Add Materials in courses. It's called Add Resources in groups and resources. And this is basically where you would start putting your courses and content together. The point I made earlier is resources should be, and here is Add Resources, the same, but as I said, they are a little, they separated file, link, and external page. The King's way would be you do it all in resources, and when your courses become available, when the synchronization is turned on, you copy it over, create folders, and have a structure so you don't have to reinvent the wheel twice. This is, and it is 11:24, and I said I'll be done in half an hour, but that's not a problem. You will be getting a full hour, and that keeps in account that you will have the courses as video, and you will also have the slideshow at your fingertips at the end of this week, and then you can refer back to that. I'm going to stop recording here, and we'll stay on for Q&A.